Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm Kathy Benharris, CEO of KB Fashion Productions. Thank you for being with us tonight. We're so excited to talk to everybody about telling a fashion story on the virtual runway. So when we talk about a virtual fashion show, what are we talking about? Basically, what we're talking about is creating a fashion story that will be told on the digital stage. So something that you're going to observe and take part in by watching it on the screen, just like we're doing right now. Um, Obviously, this is different than a typical fashion show, and this is a fashion week, a Boston Fashion Week, unlike any other. This year, Boston Fashion Week is a virtual happening as well. And we're really excited to be here with you guys tonight to talk about everything that's possible in the virtual world. You know, in some ways, it's an easier medium because when we do a typical fashion show, a live event with many models and many moving pieces playing out live in front of an audience, there's no do-overs. You have to make sure that your execution is perfect. And KB Fashion Productions has had some really good moments in that arena. Now with a virtual opportunity, we can slow down, we can speed up, we can focus on details that perhaps we couldn't do as well when we're telling a fashion story on a runway. Um, so I'm kind of a fan of the virtual world, and we're doing more and more with it. And I think everyone on this call is probably doing more and more virtually. What we're doing here tonight. Um, so tonight we have some amazing creatives with us that we had the pleasure of working with over the summer to create some virtual fashion presentations. Um, Tonight we have Remy Stressinger with us from Remy Creations. Hello, Remy.
I
We have Zainab Sumu, who makes the most from Zainab Sumu Primitive Modern, which amazing prints, and I'm obsessed. Chris Capozzi, who is just a Renaissance man who super creative, DJ, photographer, videographer. Am I forgetting anything there? I don't know. I think that's the highlights.
Thanks.
And then of course we have Pete helping us in the background, taking care of all of our technical needs tonight. So thank you for that, gentlemen. Grace?
Yeah, so my name is Grace Goodearl, and I work with Kathy. We are partners in crime on the KB Fashion Productions team. And I'm really looking forward to this event. Traditionally, KB Fashion Productions, we are a fashion styling and production company, but our history is really rooted in in-person events and traditional activations and other fashion experiences in an in-person realm. We've produced fashion shows like the Bruins Fashion Power Play and Copley Place. We've also styled editorials and other content. We also have a lot of experience in the snow sports industry as well. And we're really excited to show you kind of where we've gone, as the world has taken the virtual turn, as Kathy mentioned. So, in all areas of our work, whether, it's in person or virtual, no matter what brand we're working with, we really feel that confidence is one of the most important things, and that using fashion to channel and project confidence is really at the core of what we do. Also at the core of what we do, and something that differentiates us from other stylists and producers, is our commitment to really telling a brand's story, using fashion. And we believe strongly that every brand has a unique story, and whether they're telling that story in person or virtually, it's really important to stay true to that brand's DNA. And like Kathy said, this is actually a positive for the virtual space, because instead of being limited by a stage and a venue and a structure, you can really take these fashion moments anywhere. As you'll see tonight, we brought some amazing fashion on the road, went to some spaces that you wouldn't traditionally think would be a fashion show. So we're really excited to show those examples. Please ask questions in the chat. We will be monitoring that as we go. And then we'll have some more time for questions at the end. So please do not hesitate, type anything in there. We're happy to chat all of these things with you and answer all your questions. So I think we're going to get started with our first video. So Kathy, you want to talk about that a little more?
Yes, super excited to bring you the new Lindsey Vonn collection from Head Sportswear. This is their legacy collection, and this is the first one that they've done with Lindsey. To I'm trying not to fangirl out as I talk about it, because I don't fangirl easily or often, but I will for Miss Lindsey Vonn. As a skier, I can't help it. It was super exciting to get to open that box filled with pieces that only the head sportswear team had touched before. So we were very honored to be entrusted with that new collection, which is actually hitting the stores now. It's very fashion forward ski line. Yes, it has the technical performance that you look for when you're out on the mountain, but it also will serve you well, strutting down Newberry Street, or, meeting friends for cocktails. Definitely has a range of things we can do with it. What Head Sportswear really wanted was for us to emphasize some of the details of the garments. There's some very cool zippers, and the sleeves actually zip off, so the jackets become a vest. There's all sorts of bells and whistles built in. And what better way to show that than to show it on the virtual stage? So we took our magical box of the Lindsey Vonn collection to New Hampshire and worked with an incredible team up there. They're called New Sky Productions, and they put this video together with us. So without further ado, let's take a look at the new Lindsey Vonn collection coming to you from Head. Guys, so that was the Lindsey Vonn collection from Head Sportswear. I am super looking forward to getting a few of those pieces, and I think Grace might be feeling the same way. You saw, how much time and energy went into, emphasizing the zippers and the movement of the garments and such. And we really want to take a moment and also thank Maggie Models, because all of the models you're going to see tonight in these videos are all from Maggie Models. Okay, does anybody have any questions about the Lindsey Vonn Head Sportswear video? It was pretty much straight up in studio. I have to say, it's a very different world, styling post-COVID. Of all these examples you're going to see tonight, we never touched the models. We had a pop-up dressing room. We stayed 6 feet away. Everybody was masked up. We had, cans of Lysol strapped to our hips. And, it was really an interesting endeavor, but we've figured out how to create and contribute in this new landscape. So we're excited about that. Any questions from anybody? I think there might be something here. Is there any questions around the head video? Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to move on then to our next sample, which is called Rock Out. Grace, can you step us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited for the next video as well, because two of the creatives that we worked with to make this happen are on this call. So after this video, we'll be chatting with them as well, and talking about the process, and hearing a little bit more from them about their brand and their vision. So if you have any questions for the designer and the filmmaker behind this, please don't hesitate. Again, just start to type some of those questions in. So Chris Capozzi is the uber talented filmmaker who did all of the more traditional camera work, as well as some drone that you'll see in here that really makes it kind of pop. And then Zainab Sumu, who has the beautiful, vibrant scarves and tops. in the backdrop of the Quincy Quarries was a really great pairing. You know, her collection and her pieces have such an amazing vibe and such a strong artistic point of view that we were really excited to show them in this quarry space that is just covered with graffiti. And it's really exciting to go there because the art is constantly changing. You actually never know what you're going to find down there. So, and it's cool because you can see people creating as well. So if we have any graffiti artists, I definitely recommend you head down there and check it out because it is a really cool space. But anyways, Boston-based Zainab Sumu is a really gifted designer. Her prints celebrate and showcase the diverse cultural wealth of Africa. Each series of textile prints is inspired by a country she has visited, you know, for immersive research. So Zainab, can you tell us a little bit more about your line and the scarves and some of the pieces that we'll see in this next video?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am Zainab Sumu, the creative director and founder of Zainab Sumu Creative Modern. Like Grace said, the ethos of the brand is to highlight the cultural wealth and beauty of Africa. And for each series, I choose a cultural touchstone from a country that inspires me. I travel to the country, do immersive research, and then when on my return, I do my sketches and everything, and things proceed from there. The two collections that you guys, Grace and Kathy worked with for this video were from the Jenner series and also from the Dogon series, I think. Jenner, both cities are in Mali. Jenner is known for the iconic Great Mosque of Jenner, which is a UNESCO heritage site, and that's what inspired me for that collection. The vibrant colors were inspired by what I saw at the market, which always happens on a Monday in front of the building. But the building is just this amazing mud-built building, and it's the largest mud-built building in the world, originally built in the 13th century, and it's still in use every day as a mosque. And the pieces from some of the t-shirts and scarves from the Dogon series was inspired by Dogon country, which is also a UNESCO heritage site, and they're known for building the homes within the cliffs, in the hilltops, and then for the pointed roofs of the storage granaries. So I guess that's it. Oh yeah, and then there's the limited edition from that I collaborated with, which is also part of the Jenner series. I collaborated with the iconic Malian photographer, Melik Sidibe, whose work has been shown in a lot of museums around the world, including the Fondation Cartier, the Met, MoMA, and he also won a prize at the Venice Biennale. So yeah, I guess that's it.
That's awesome. Yeah, those photographs are amazing. It really like takes graphic t-shirt to the next level because it combines your gorgeous graphic prints and then also with this black and white photography, which is the two really pop so well together. And we'll, you know, you'll see some of those t-shirts, you know, being used in our video. So yeah, I guess we will kick it off to the video. Oh, before we do that, can you just tell us, you know, where we can shop your line and what's next on the horizon for your brand?
Oh, okay. So you can shop the line on our website, which is www.zainabsumu.com. And what's next for the brand? I guess we just ramping up. We're working hard. So Christina and I and the team working very hard and ramping up our marketing, and I'm very much looking forward to traveling. I've been craving that. I'm just gonna keep creating, and there's a lot of things we're working on, but I'll keep you guys posted. So
awesome. Yeah, no, we can't wait to hear more. And obviously travel is such a big part of your design and your brand and your inspiration. So I'm sure you're feeling this a little bit extra. So
oh, absolutely. But you know, we're making the best of it.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, there's a lot of things I'm working on. So
awesome. Yeah. Great. Well, we can't wait to see more. So I guess we will see the video and then we'll move it over to Chris and talk a little bit more about the actual creation process. So Pete, when you're ready, go for it. It's my favorite part, right at the end when they sprays the screen. So again, like another really fun, creative way that we just tried to, kind of fuse the Quincy quarries and the art with the awesome pieces from Zainab. So no, that's awesome. And now we're gonna kick it over to Chris. I've known Chris for a little while. We actually met through the fitness community, and I got to know his work as a photographer and a videographer, and just all around creative. So I was really excited to get him involved in this project, especially where we were just starting to experiment with the virtual runway and what that means. So Chris, tell us a little bit about your creative process generally, and then how you applied it to this project.
Yeah. Well, hi everyone, and thanks for having me on. I think for me, one of the big things is what I've learned throughout my creative journey, through all the different arts and medias that I use, is that there's a little bit of chaos and unexpected nature to everything. And so you can plan and plan and plan, and then you get there and something goes wrong, and you have to be willing to and sort of okay with just transforming in the moment and changing things up. And so I've sort of taken that piece and applied it to my whole creative process. And so I like to go in there with sort of some big picture things, and then really work with the models in this case, and the product and the line and the setting to really sort of see what comes up that day. So as much as I planned for it, I think it was not the same pieces I had originally went in there thinking. And I think that's sometimes the beauty of these media. So what I kind of big picture is, I knew that there was 4 models that we had, but there was actually 6 characters in this sort of story. And it was the 4 models, it was the clothing, and then also the setting. So to really play with that, and in every single scene, there was at least 3 interacting with each other. And so to play off that, and how did the setting and the clothing really work together, but also taking the personalities of each of these models. And no matter how much I try to think of that in my head, I mean, they're going to do what they want to do. And so I just embraced that. And I tried to let them have and capture them freely moving through this space in the product. And really that's where that authenticity came from, and that you see in some of those things. So there's moments in there where in that moment when the music starts to slow down, and the model is kind of doing that back turn thing,
Mm-hmm.
that was planned. And it was for me, this beautiful moment of this transition in the whole storyline. But that was, I didn't know he was able to do that until we sort of were communicating in that thing. So a lot of that stuff was not planned. And really just letting the models have fun in it. And I think that's where it's also creative for me, because I learn, I'm sort of very present in the moment, seeing, different elements, where the sun is, where different art was located on those rocks. I think what's cool about that specific location is that's a very living space. It's constantly changing. So no matter where or when you go there, it's going to be different than the day before, or even later on in that day. And that was some of the fun behind that. And then when I get to a space or work on a project like that, it's okay, what kind of tools do I have that I can grasp? And so if it's a little bit of the music, if it's a little bit of the drone work or the photography, how can we frame up this angle to tell the story the best way? I think there's a lot of moments in there where the product and the clothing really ties in with the setting. And for me, those are some of the most beautiful moments in that film. So yeah, so I think it's telling that story again from different angles. So the fine details with the camera work, of the fabric moving, and then also the big picture of okay, this is the space we're in. It's this huge, beautiful space just located right outside the city. And it's this oasis a little bit. So yeah, I think that's where the drone work and the sort of videography can really start to come in hand to tell that story and really add to that. And then also the music also plays a role in that. I didn't produce this music on my own. This was something that, I sort of worked with and played with. And so I chopped it up a little bit and played with it. And that's where that experience with music also comes into it, because it does add to so much to the story and to the overall vibe of that final product. So.
Right. No, I think you've totally hit the nail on the head as far as and this is something Kathy and I have found too, really letting the models kind of play and be creative. Mm-hmm. And, going back to one of our kind of brand tenets, if you will, about confidence, when models feel really good about what they're wearing, that comes across, and they were having a blast. And we'll see that in the video we created with Remy as well. The models they were having such a good time. Everyone was so excited to be together and out. We filmed these in May and June. So like really when kind of lockdown was just starting to really get to everyone. So no, I think you've totally hit the nail on the head with that one. And you started to touch on drone a little bit, and then also the editing process after. So can you talk to us a little bit more about the editing? And, you know, you talked about how you go in with this broad idea, but then how to fine tune and bring all the pieces together.
Yeah, a little bit of the editing is, you know, so when I'll go into it, like I don't necessarily, I have a vibe that I'm going for. So I know it was supposed to be a little bit of urban, you know, this sort of like graffiti, you know, I wanted the filters and things like that to have the same kind of color as like both the product and the clothing, and also the setting. But then I sort of play, you know, a little bit with finding, so once I have all that content, I'll go in, and that's when I sort of like look for the music, because I really want the music to only add to that experience. And so if I try to get the music beforehand, I find sometimes it's like not exactly matching up with what we shot that day of. So I usually get the content, go through it, and then find the song that fits perfectly. And it's usually like I know exactly when that moment is. And then from there, I'll sort of just like take different pieces, and it's sort of just like a little bit of a puzzle where you're taking these things and sort of seeing what lines up. You know, there's that moment where one of the models like whips the scarf, and it's just like the perfect with that. And like you just start to find where those moments are and where they line up, and then you sort of start to build the story from there. So it's not necessarily like a left to right. Always, it's sort of you know, you sort of plug and play a little bit, and then you sort of work in those transitions, what we call like the B-roll film, to be able to add to that story. But yeah, and then again, like there's like the drone footage at the very beginning to tell that big story of, okay, like this is where we are, and then you sort of work your way into the detail, and a little bit of also just having, you know, what I wanted to showcase in that was each of these independent perspectives, models, voices are all coming together, and then you sort of see them all together at the very end. So it's about this like almost like in a way this runway of all coming together, and then sort of the beauty of seeing the whole picture at the very end. So
yeah, no, that's a great point too, and something that Kathy and I have tried to include in all of our videos here is still keeping some elements of a traditional runway. So like you said, almost having that finale moment of all of them together is, you know, even though we're on a virtual platform and there are some things that are different, it can be great to really keep some things that are, you know, a little bit more traditional, so that it kind of keeps that finesse there. So
yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, very cool. So I think we are going to move on to our final video. Kathy, you want to talk us a little bit about that one?
Let's talk about the garden party. So our garden party video features beautiful summer clothing from Remy Creations. You know, I feel whenever I see this video, I can't help it, I smile, because that day at Lars Anderson, the estate, that felt like Christmas morning, because it was the first time post lockdown that we were creating again, that we were actually doing what it is we do. And the models felt that way. The amazing video team we worked with there, Juke Productions was our partner on that. And look, we were so happy. I mean, you'll see in the video, the models are skipping around and having a great time. That was all very, very real. We were all so excited to be together that day. We shot it during golden hour, which is the best time, I think, to shoot. It's very flattering light for everybody, although these beautiful young ladies from Maggie do not need that help. So what we used for a runway was an old arbor. And we also used a mature row of trees. So every look that you'll see in the video absolutely walked our runway. But then we also interjected a bunch of like lifestyle kind of setups. The models are playing and enjoying each other. And I assure you, I had my 6-foot measuring tape to keep everybody 6 feet away from each other. And, you know, it was just a magic afternoon. And Remy, thank you so much for trusting us with your baby and letting us take all those beautiful clothes with us to do it. So without further ado, why don't we take a look at the video, and then we can talk about Remy Creations and a little bit more about what she does with her magic. And don't you want to go to the park with these ladies and scamper around in the grass? I mean,
Frolic.
so much fun. It was such a good day. And again, all of those young ladies were from Maggie Models. So thank you, Maggie, for all your support with that. Remy, how did you feel about the video when you first saw it?
I feel like, so right now watching it is just so much more fun than even the first time. Like each time I see it, I love it even more.
Okay.
So the first time I feel like we were in the middle of everything going on. I was gearing up to open my store on Nantucket. It was, okay, great. This is the video. This is wonderful. I love it. Now I'm having the time to absorb it and just like, I love seeing it. Everybody looks so happy. I love seeing my designs, of course, alive and running around.
Mhm.
And then I choose other designers to bring into the store. So it's fun to see it all collaborate and come together. It's beautiful. You guys did an amazing job. Like love the drone shots too.
Thank you. Yeah, that team was great. That AV team from Juke Booth was also very talented. So let's go in the Wayback Machine. I'd love to learn more about your past as a designer. Can you tell us about the first piece that you designed? And did you end up developing it and producing it? I know there's a story here, and we want to.
There's definitely a story. So the first piece I designed was a shawl. Pretty simple design, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with it. So went down to New York City and went to Mood and walked through there and basically was like, what fabric do I want to use for this piece? And saw all these beautiful colors and textures of herringbone. And that reminded me of my father, who he always wore herringbone jackets when I was younger. And so I kind of at that moment made the determination that I was only going to use herringbone fabrics. Went down 2 floors and saw the leathers and went, oh my God, I'm going to line it all with leather. So that was it. Like it was all very, just generic, like it just happened. It wasn't planned, which I think is awesome. And that is still a signature piece to this day in the store. And the herringbones change year to year. I just coordinate the leather colors to them. Sometimes we do custom, but it's fun for me to find the herringbones.
I love it when you bring in the little leather on that tuxedo pant and on the waistband of that skirt. I love that. Very cool.
Thank you.
Where do you continue to find your inspirations for your designs?
I am finding them everywhere. Like I find them through, when before COVID and going to New York and looking at fabrics, I would fall in love with certain fabrics and then immediately start thinking, what am I going to do with this fabric? And now I'm sort of designing and now thinking, okay, where am I going to get the fabric for that? Because it's a little bit more challenging right now. So I've kind of evolved a little bit, which is kind of cool. So I definitely have some designs in the books and going, I need to find some really statement fabrics or make them for these pieces.
Right. So, because you're used to touching the fabric.
Exactly. And that's so hard right now. It's so hard. Even when I order for the store, because I order other lines and not just carry my own, it's very difficult to choose because I want to see it in person. I want to feel it. I want to try it on. I want to.
Right. You want to connect with it. It's such a tactile thing. I mean, I'm a Taurus. I need to touch everything. So that, if anything, that's my struggle in this virtual world, is that I can't touch everything that I want to with the fabrics and see how it drapes and how it moves. And
exactly. It makes it very challenging.
It does. It makes it it does. I mean, I even like to hear how the clothes sound. Do you know what I mean?
She really does. She's not just saying that. She really does, especially in the snow sport world. If something's too swishy and too distracting,
Right.
It happens.
Good point.
That might not be my favorite. That might not be my favorite.
No, that goes back on the rack.
But okay. And how have you adapted your business, Remy, with COVID, our friend COVID?
Yeah.
Crashing our party, changing our world. How has it impacted your business? And then I'd love to ask you, Zainab, about that, how it's impacting you as well.
Well, so in the very beginning, all of a sudden it was, okay, we're going to need masks. I had all this remnant fabric of these small pieces you can't really use for anything. And I hate to throw anything out. So I initially started taking donations for masks and saying, donate $10, donate $100, whatever it is, and tell me how many masks you need, and I'll make them and we'll get them out. And then I, through a group of friends, found Chef's Table in Marshfield was making meals for Mass General. And those meals cost $10 per meal. They needed 500 a day. And we all just like very organically and very grassroots said, okay, so then I said, I will sell masks for $20, $10 goes to the meal. And then it blew up. It was crazy. And it made me feel really useful during that time. I don't have a medical degree. I don't instead of sitting home and wallowing in all of what was going on, it made me feel really, really valued to be able to do something.
Right.
I wasn't curing anybody, but it made me feel like I was doing something. And that felt really good. So we continued to make them. I then had to buy fabrics because we ran out, and that was fun. And we just put them in the stores and put a note saying, 50% of this goes to giving back, because that's one thing I don't feel like I want to make money off of is masks. I want to, it's a necessity. It's nice to get your name out there. It's nice to get people buying your masks, and then hopefully they come back and visit you again. But it's a nice foot in the door. But other than that, I felt like it felt good to do something.
Are you selling more tops than bottoms these days? Who on this Zoom is wearing pants?
I'm wearing jeans. I just have jeans.
I was going to say there's not a zipper, but I'm wearing pants.
That counts. That does count.
There's a nice elastic going on.
Yeah, tops are a big thing. People definitely came into the shop looking for specific tops and thinking, how is this going to look on the camera?
Mm-hmm. You should have a little faux Zoom set up in there so people can test it and see.
That's a great idea.
That is a great idea, Grace.
I got you. And then actually we did have a question come in. Remy, you kind of started touching on it about inspiration during COVID and the creative process. So, I'd love to hear from Zainab and Chris, about any other projects that you guys are working on, and, how you're keeping your creativity kind of going and adapting in this time. So.
For me, I've been painting more, because other than that, the scarves are just, something that my printed things that are something I always do, but they all stem from the watercolors that I do. So I've been painting more during lockdown, and I've also do my sculptures. So that's been keeping me going, and been working on the next phase of my business as well. So it's been I have weekly meetings with my team, with Christina and all, and we've revamped our website, and we're working on expanding the business. And luckily for me, right before COVID, I decided I wanted to move my studio from to my home, and I did that literally a few days before lockdown. So I was happy with that, because that meant I didn't have to worry about traveling or going anywhere, and I can just do everything set up here. So it's been interesting. It's been but I've just been painting a lot more, and doing the usual thing. So and now everything is online as well, so it's figuring out how to get organic sales online and how to get the word out. Luckily I've had a great group of customers who've really been supportive, so it's just staying on top of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Chris, what about you? How are you staying kind of inspired and creative in this time?
I think for me, now that I just have time, a lot more time to devote to this, these are always sort of side projects for me. And so kind of just jump into it, and didn't have much time to really do research or sort of look for inspiration. I've just found a lot more time to just be able to see, a lot more things before I jump into a project, and sort of it's allowed me to expand my imagination a lot. But also I think now that everything is turning virtual, and that's the way for people to connect, I think it just opened up the doors for a lot more people to expose their work. And so you're able to see, you don't have to be part of a larger production company or something like that to get, a clip out. So you're just seeing a lot more content, and it's just that alone has just been inspiring to see. And you see a lot more different perspectives and through that. And I think that's what's really for me is like, where do we sort of like, you know, pick different things up from different places. And it's definitely like allowed me to see things from that I wouldn't have normally seen before this. And I think the last piece for me is it's just like embracing this time is like, we are all virtual now. How can you like do something different? That's been the biggest question or challenge I've been posing to myself in this is like, how do I not just get drowned in what everyone else is creating, but like really use this time to be able to like embrace where we are and also like storytell around that. It's necessary and like desired right now. So
yeah. I know as someone who's like constantly scrolling, you know, I feel like the bar has been raised a little bit for people to get noticed and be entertaining and funny, or, you know, I totally know what you mean, like seeing what other people are doing. And, you know, at the beginning of all of this, a lot of people were talking about pivoting, right? Like almost just what we do is over here, but we're going to pivot to over here. And Kathy's heard me say this a million times. I feel like we haven't pivoted per se, but we've just expanded. You know, our skill sets are the same, they're just being applied in a different way. And, you know, it's really, we can still do in-person fashion shows. We still know how to do that. And now we know how to do more of this virtual as well. So, you know, I see it as less of a turn and more of an expansion. So I think it's awesome.
Good. All right. I think we have a couple of questions here. Do we? We're putting in our social media. Okay, we'll be putting that in here. That sounds good. So unless there's some more questions, I think we're going to wrap this up. Thank everybody for being here and sharing your magic with us this evening. And I really want everyone to know that the world is your runway. Like seriously, there is a runway right around you, wherever you are right now, look, because that is a place that you could tell a fashion story. And that's the magic of the virtual runway, is that we can take it anywhere and everywhere that inspires us. So Grace and I look forward to seeing all of you out on that virtual runway. Have a great fashion week. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you, Zainab, Remy, Chris, and thank you to P and Steve back in behind the curtain, making all
technology land
for us.
Thank you guys.
Yep. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks for being with us. Have a good fashion week.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.